All right, Jim.
Is that open? You
Yes, you there? I got my keys, but it should be, isn't it? Oh, it's not.
Agent. Mary, did you put a rock in that door by chance?
No, I can though.
Yeah.
Would you?
Yeah.
Please, thank you.
Hey, here's a sign-in sheet.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Why is
Your guess is as good as mine at his office.
what are you looking for?
Sneakers. It's going to an IT guy's office.
Yeah.
It's worse than.
So bad. Every day I'm like, well, that's better. I don't know.
Yep, we're at 3 minutes.
And then I'm going to turn.
Yeah, that was just yesterday.
No, this way.
You see the one?
What are you looking for?
No.
Oh, you sign on board docs, or you go through the website?
Almost doing it.
It'll be procedure, agenda approval, so it'll be just a few minutes. Driver's training.
Yeah, it's usually 4.
You have already logged in. Mary, how are you?
Not too bad. Ready, Jeff? Surviving the heat.
Yeah. Barely.
Well, I appreciate our basement every day. That's nice.
So I'm encouraging Jade.
Is there, so Scott told me a couple weeks ago that there was like something to redo the whole sewer in my neighborhood, is that?
Yeah, we're like,
He was saying bids went out or?
no, they're going to, we had that, when we had that emergency sewer thing in November. They had just started a whole process of.
Right.
This system. And then had this one engineer that failed our application the last couple of years. So she kind of is overseeing it a little bit. To really get, they decided, what there's so many critical places that the system needs to be done.
Right.
Mostly. Your yard is, yeah.
He said mine's like a priority.
Oh, yeah,
Because it's-
because they're close to the main, that main, across the street, close to Shoals,
Right.
it's where it failed. And out.
Well, Jeff, we're ready to roll.
We're hopefully it's.
I'm sure we're standing. They'll be here because a lot of this.
Process.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. And he did not let anybody know.
So can we?
We got three.
3 is a quorum.
So far we got 3, okay. Welcome everybody. A motion for approval of tonight's agenda.
I make the motion to approve today's agenda.
Moving second, any discussion? All those in favor? There he comes.
There he is.
Do we have any public comment or questions related to non-agenda items? Okay, then we will move on to a motion for the consent agenda. Stan, I'll give you a second to get logged in. Don't want to hear anything about your pivot network either.
He said he doesn't want to hear anything about your pivot not working.
Go ahead.
I just need a motion to approve tonight's
Consent
or
agenda.
consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
I'll second that.
We're moving second, any discussion or questions?
I do have a couple of questions.
Please go.
It looks like we are paying for the flight simulators in this.
Yeah, so it was in June's claims, right? So what happened was it came in after June 12th, which was when I ran claims, but I tried to pay for everything before the end of the year. If it has an invoice before June 30th, we have to pay it.
For some reason, I thought those were donated. And,
They are not, but the funding came from Montana Opportunities. We're talking about flight simulators. Yeah. Montana Advanced Opportunities Grant.
So we'll get reimbursed.
No, we've already got.
Oh, we already got it.
And it'll be funded again this fall. Yes. It's roughly, started out at 7,000, last year was 35, and next year I believe would be closer to 40.
These are just questions for mine. A school board election costs the district?
So if we were to run our own school board election, we would have to hire everybody that would be running the election. And Mary is aware of those because she used to run those. This school board election, we do by mail ballot. So we have to hire the people who the county does it on a more of an economy of scales, right? They do all of the school board elections, so they have the same people. We split the cost amongst all the schools. So we have to pay postage. Yeah.
Because we don't run our own election in town. We have the county do the same thing, then we have to pay the county to run the election, so there's a cost.
Yeah, not cheap.
Not cheap, but not as expensive as if we did it ourselves, as
Yeah.
far as all projections that I've talked to other school districts. So if you can have the county do it, you'd be wise to have the county do it.
MSBA dues, 5,700. You know, is that higher or lower than you had?
50, or,
I meant to look that
that's
up, but I couldn't.
MTSBA.
Yeah.
That's right on par with it was last year, maybe $200-250 higher than it was last year.
I thought there was supposed to be some sort of break on that. I see we had a Red Rover. One of my favorite applications.
Fun game too.
I'm guessing that we paid $51.60 for,
Subscription.
yeah.
Yep.
But we also last month paid $17.60.
That was for initial setup. So there was going to be initial setup costs, and then we have subscription costs that will be annual. So we're going through our audit right now. Auditors request all subscriptions to be separated and posted. So we'll have a pretty good list of those.
So the setup, the $17.16 is just the yearly license for it is $51.
Yeah.
Cool. Do you know what Pixie Lot is?
So those are the outdoor cameras. They run our Huddle application, and I believe that is the softball field that was not running for the entirety of the year, or for most of the year. I believe they got a scheduled at the end of the year.
Yeah, it just wouldn't, the way it would zoom in on the field.
Football field and softball field.
Same camera.
So we got a couple new cameras, is that?
You would have to ask Jesse, but that.
I know we got a replacement one for the softball field because it just didn't work.
Yeah.
Right, it worked, just didn't work right.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah.
And we'll find out when football comes around the council. Any others? Okay, no other question? Okay. All those in favor?
Okay, thank you.
All right, correspondence, 6.01 drivers training.
Just information, driver's training this fall for students interested. Mandatory student meeting will be held August 26th at 5 p.m. We will again rent the driver's ed car from Don Adson Ford. Just information.
Do we know what that runs a family now?
It was 250 last year.
It's been that last, like, I've had two of my three boys do it,
Right.
like 3 or 4 years apart. It's the same price. So. I would assume-
If we get enough kids, if we have enough kids sign up, then it pays for itself. It's when we do, under 12 kids that it ends up being where we need to, determine whether or not 250 is enough.
But we get quite a bunch, huh?
Right, I think it's like 12, it's either 12 or 16 is the magic number word. It's, that's the break-even.
15 was our break last year.
And we do have lists of people that want to take driver's ed, so.
We have to turn them away some, right?
Yeah,
Well, for spring Abbott, spring
Yeah,
Abbott.
There is a cap as well.
Is there a vetting process? No, you can't drive.
We're gonna use
Should
you.
be.
Yeah, yeah.
You taught them all, so.
I should be in
Okay, anything else? Okay, move on to 6.02 retirement announcement.
Steve McCollum, our head of maintenance, has submitted a letter of retirement. His last day of employment will be June 6th of next summer. So we'll work throughout this year to see how early, when, how long we open that position for. When do we want to bring someone on to work side by side with Steve McCollum, with 2 generations of experience of the district and knows where and how everything works. So that'll be some planning, but good news is we have plenty of time. So
And I think we're gonna go through the buildings and ground to kind of discuss what we think is an optimal amount of time to.
yeah, and then propose it to the board.
Okay.
So that'll be a committee meeting?
Yeah.
At some point?
Okay, move on to 6.03 resignation.
Dewey Schleep has resigned as the baseball coach for the high school. So we'll be looking for a new head baseball coach.
Is that open now or we wait? Now it's
It will be open, yes.
a couple people asked. Okay, we will move on to presentations. We have some guests from Harmony tonight for a
Yes.
presentation.
We have guests here this evening. I'll read quickly. This is introduce Monty and Shawnee Carver. Shawnee's the National Program Director for Harmony. We visited about it last month. We looked at the possibilities. We needed some questions answered. We're able to visit with Corvallis on how they're working with Harmony to umbrella educational needs across the district for homeschool and students here in our district. Harmony Educational Services has been helping families and schools across the nation for the past 16 years. They're a huge part of the school choice movement that is sweeping the nation. It is defined as giving each child the opportunity to educate in the best way they see fit. They help bridge the gap between home and school, bridging those enrollment dollars back to schools. It makes a win-win situation, thus creating harmony in the educational world. Thinking about some of Mr. Helzer's concerns with co-curricular, that those policies moving forward. This is a great opportunity for homeschool students that want to be a part of the educational ecosystem of St. Ignatius. This would umbrella those folks, those families, those students. That would make them partners, members, students of the St. Ignatius School District, opening up all opportunities. So in terms of educational needs, in terms of concerns that we've had over the past 6 months, in terms of policy we're going to look at tonight, this is another, I believe, creative solution to bringing everyone in this school district under one umbrella with opportunities for not only students, but for families. And I know there was some questions as whether we could run this ourselves. The true selling point for us was visiting with Corvallis, learning about, how the workload is really on Harmony in terms of working with families, creating those opportunities, the large number of choice options they have for the different programs, whether it be religious or otherwise. They have at least 6 different programs that they work with to ensure that families have educational opportunities and meet the needs of each family, okay, individually. So also it comes, and like we talked about, the A and B, it costs a little more for each student to be enrolled in this, but the positive part of that, after visiting with Corvallis and other districts, is there's funds given to the family for laptop, internet, science supplies. There's a budget available for families that under just a computer online program that we've offered for years. I guess the difference is with Harmony, it gives families more opportunities for those needs. The big caution, as a school system, we believe public education, and direct instruction. We believe in what we do. What we don't want to create is a system where we lose students outside of, so there's a threshold here that, if all of a sudden we start losing students, we would probably not be able to continue just because we believe in our teachers and we believe what we're doing. But visiting with Corvallis, they didn't run into that issue where they were losing students from school to homeschool. But I think it's the very best opportunity that we can offer homeschool families in terms of an opportunity that meets the needs of the families. Also umbrellas the entire district under one system, and it will help us with not full A and B, but half A and B, which will keep our doors open and our teachers employed. So, Shawnee Carver.
What is A and B? She'll go over all that.
Yeah, we'll wait till the end. Give them a chance. This is an agenda item later on, but right now it's just a presentation.
Okay, so I have about a 10 to 12-minute presentation. There are some slides. If you can't see the screen, you're willing to stand up and walk around to see.
So thank you, Superintendent Sargent, for allowing me the opportunity to come up to this beautiful school district. This is a presentation that I did just a few months ago in Austin, Texas, at the Digital Learning Convention. And it's a long title, Help, I'm a Rural School at the End of My Rope. I need real, reliable online solutions that I can run to receive and replenish my roster. Things have evolved in education so quickly. So I'm with Harmony Educational Services. Before I tell you exactly what we do, I like to ask the question, why?
Why? Okay,
Yeah,
here,
go back.
here comes why. I'm new at this.
Yeah.
Oh, am I still not there?
Go to the next one. Okay, Harmony, okay, go to the next one. Why? Before I tell you, I like to ask the question why. I'd like to show you a clip. I don't know how we're going to be able to hear it. If we can't, we'll skip it. This is a great clip from YouTube called Know Your Why.
She said she didn't.
I told you. Go.
When people hear the phrase, how do I know? The next thing they say is what? How do I know what? The key really isn't to know what. The key is to know why. Because when you know your why, you have options on what your what can be. For instance, my why is to inspire people to walk in purpose. My what is stand-up comedy. My what is writing books. My what can be going out with some friends to eat. In fact, another what that has moved me towards my why is a web series that we have out now called Break Time. So every Wednesday at 3 o'clock, you should subscribe to the channel. We do a series called Break Time on YouTube. So 3 o'clock, we drop a new episode. One episode in particular, I'm about to show you a clip to. We're in Winston-Salem. So Break Time, this is how it works. I travel the country, I do stand-up comedy, probably an hour and a half at an event. And in the middle of my show, I'll just sit down and start talking to the audience. And funny just happens. Or I'll meet somebody who's really interesting. So I met this one guy, and he said that he teaches music at a school. I was like, all right, you teach music, can you sing? And then I'm just going to show you the clip. Check it. So you're a musical director. Yes, sir. All right, so let me get a couple bars of like Amazing Grace. Can you do the first part of that? Go ahead. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. Wow. That bro could sing. You know what I'm saying? All right. Now, what you give me the version is if your uncle just got out of jail, you got shot in the back when you was a kid. I'm just saying, let me see the hood version real quick. If you know which version I'm talking about, just see if that exists. Let me see what you got. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. Right now, I'm found blind. A sweet. So here's the thing. The first time I asked him to sing, he knew what he was doing. The second time I asked him to sing, he knew why he was doing it. When you know your why, your what has more impact because you're walking in or towards your purpose.
Love that clip. I love the teaching moment at the end when you know your why, your what has so much more impact. So to tell you a little bit how Harmony started, this is the founder, Rob Muhlstein. Many years ago, he was a charter school principal and was supervising several charters across the state of Utah. And at that same time, his wife wanted to try at-home learning. And he said, well, okay, just let's give it a try, see how they do. Is what he started to notice is that his own children were thriving in this environment. But he noticed one big piece that didn't fit right. His day job was all about brick and mortar, A and B, which means it's a per pupil funding. Every state across the United States, every student that enrolls in a public school is worth a certain dollar amount. We all pay taxes to the state, and then a certain amount of that is allocated for education and then funneled back to the brick and mortar schools. And as what he was noticing, Rob, the founder of Harmony, is that his own children were thriving in this at-home learning, homeschool, whatever you want to call it, environment, but they had no funding. And he thought, my goodness, the system is broke. I'm paying those same tax dollars. Why are my own children not receiving this money back? And so his idea was to, and with the help of his business partner, John Thorne, they founded Harmony in 2008. And we like to say Harmony bridges the gap between school and home. Next one. It makes it a win-win situation because A, we're bringing those enrollment dollars, those A and B dollars, back to the school district so they can keep up all their facilities, the community parks, I mean, everything that encompasses small communities. But at the same time, we're able to funnel $1,800 to every Harmony at-home homeschool student for online curriculum, laptop computers, reimbursement for internet. And there's also some discretionary funds for the children if they want to do learn the violin or take karate lessons or horseback riding lessons. Anything that's approved educationally, they can do it through the approval if it's education. So to explain real quick how Harmony works, I used to be an educator in the classroom. Sometimes we just got to water this down and keep it very simple. So this is my analogy of a Ferris wheel. And you can imagine if you were taking your children to an amusement park, let's say Disneyland, for example, and 5 minutes before you got there, they texted you or sent you an alert saying, sorry, the only ride that's open today is the Ferris wheel. And you're like, oh my gosh, we came all this way and my kids are going to have to ride the Ferris wheel for 8 hours. Well, that's how a lot of online learning models are because the school, the virtual program, they purchase off-the-shelf curriculums. And it's just one thing. And it's so mundane and monotonous for the children. Harmony did not want that one Ferris wheel approach. They wanted the whole carnival experience. Next slide. So we consider ourselves a curriculum hub. The lady on the left, the Ferris wheel representation, we're not just that one approach. We have a huge variety of offerings, K-12. And so the children, once they're enrolled and go through the Harmony portal, they have that funding to go in and check and select all their core and elective classes. And I can get you a fuller list. We have, those are just a few of our offerings that we offer. Go ahead. Our success is based on what we call the 4 pillars, and I'm going to go through each of those. All of our curriculum is aligned to the state standards, and as Superintendent Sargent mentioned, we are in partnership with Corvallis School District as of last year, and so we're very familiar. We're approved statewide through Montana, and it'd be very exciting if you were the second school to embrace this concept. There you go. We provide certified teachers. Let's say you have a child that gets back into fractions and it becomes too tricky to kind of navigate, they can log in and receive help from a live certified teacher to get that assistance, which saves the school money so they don't have to hire those additional personnel. We're going to keep it very simplified. If it's not easy for the parents, they want to quit. It's not easy for our school partnerships, they want to quit. I want to say proudly that Harmony had 100% of our partnerships return. We have programs in Utah, Idaho, Montana, Tennessee, Arkansas, Hawaii, Alaska, Arizona. Yeah, it's pretty popular program. We're gonna do all the heavy lifting, and I'm gonna get to that list because this is where most of the school administrators are like, okay, this sounds too good to be true. What do I really have to do? So we're gonna support and recruit students for you. And in the state of Montana, it's approved to recruit statewide. I think locally for Mission School District, they're looking at just kind of, your school district boundaries at this point, but as years go on, if they decide to recruit, beyond the borders, that's a decision we can make at a later date. Very high satisfaction. If you are curious as parents, what is Harmony Ed? You can go home tonight on Facebook and check out Harmony Ed Utah, and you can see all the chatter from the parents and see what they talk about and see what they love, what they have questions about, all that. So it's a really good forum for that. Okay, so this is what Harmony is going to take off your plate. This is the heavy lifting box. We're going to help out with all the student recruiting, provide all the curriculum, assist with testing each year, provide certified teachers, collect all the enrollment. A lot of times in the school systems, you've got to get all those enrollment packet and data together. We're also going to provide a student mentor for each Harmony student. So every student that's enrolled in Harmony across the U.S. has a personalized mentor that will check in with them once a week, with mom or dad or the student. And then at the end of the month, we'll provide a progress report to the administrators to show how all those students are tracking. The last one is called Option Stay. This is an in-person, on-site elective. So if we have 30 or more in a geographic area, we will host that, where we've done things like cooking and sewing. In the Rocky Mountains, they've done cross-country skiing, all kinds of different things. So we just have to have the numbers to be able to host that, because there is some expense on the Harmony side. Okay, so I know I've been talking at you, but just in summary, I wanted to mention to you that I feel like most of what I've been talking to you about boils down to these two concepts: standards inform, experiences transform. We're not coming into your school to change it. We want to come into your school to enhance what you already have going on here and all of your wonderful traditions here at Mission. We also want to just provide a service that's going to support and help grow revenue for this community. And so we want to deliver good content, good curriculum to inform the students, and we want to provide them experiences. There's oftentimes things that can happen outside of the brick and mortar school that can really transform children's lives. A lot of kids that are interested in science, or they get to participate in different kits that they can purchase and museums, and it's really fun when you can personalize a child's learning and see how they can grow in that area. Just in summary, our last video, and then we'll wrap it up.
Every child is born with a passion to learn and become something. Because of this, every child has a goal of one day being able to make their dreams become a reality. Whether it's learning the art of becoming a filmmaker or engineering a Lego robot, with Harmony and our personalized education, you can do just that. Harmony allows you and your child to personalize your education so you can learn more about your passions while giving you the tools necessary to do so. Harmony gives you a personal mentor along with funding to help you make your dreams become a reality.
Harmony offering is great because it allows parents to tailor their child's education to the student's specific needs, learning styles, and in many cases their interests. Harmony also offers enough guidance and support that students are learning and progressing, and parents feel good about that.
I have like a microscope, and some of my science was tied into that so I can use it.
Harmony's helped us realize his full potential because it gives us the choice of whatever curriculum would help him the most. And so he enjoys doing more of the interactive computer curriculum rather than books and textbooks and things. So it's really helped be able to steer him in the direction that he likes to learn and helped him improve his learning that way rather than just sit and do book work all the time.
Okay, that pretty much concludes my presentation. I'll turn the time back over to Superintendent Sargent for any additional.
Okay, so I guess, starting with the board, any questions? Or,
I do have a couple. What, is there a minimal amount of, non-enrolled students to where it's more effective? Or if you only have one, does it work just as well as if you have 500?
We're willing to start with, one or more. We actually had the superintendent of Darby reach out to us after Corvallis, and they had one student, and he enrolled in Harmony, has since moved. But yeah, we're willing to grow with you. We're willing to just open that door and say, one or more, we're willing to help you grow.
Okay, so, and then my other question is, being a part of Harmony, are they actually in the school, or is this still all done at their own facility?
Good question. I don't know if I made that clear. So they will be listed as a student of record on.
Right, I get that part,
Yeah,
but I mean,
yeah.
as far as we have say if we have a 7-period day, are they in that time frame, or are they still on their, I guess I'm just, where are they actually?
They are at home learners.
Okay, the whole time.
The whole time.
Okay, that's all I understood. I just
If
wanted to clarify.
they're, as they get in the middle school or high school ages, if they are wanting to do more of a hybrid program where maybe they want to do the flight simulator or take welding, or we take that on a case-by-case basis. And so we try to personalize it and keep it flexible for all students, but the majority will be at-home learners, 100%. Mhm.
Maybe with the scholastic aspect of things.
Yeah, definitely. Any other questions, clarifications?
board questions?
So the term charter school gets thrown out, and it's so new to the state that a lot of people in the state really don't know what charter school means. Would you say Harmony is that? Can you explain a little bit?
Harmony, at the end of the day, is a curriculum provider for, I would say our niche market is homeschool families across the U.S. For many years before Harmony was even founded in 2008, people were homeschooling. They just didn't have a blueprint, or they kind of just figured it out on their own. And so, coming from more of an academic standpoint, when the founder founded, he was a principal at a school. So he's like, wouldn't it be cool if we had a program that could give the students exactly what they need and share that funding? So it makes it a win for the families, because they can stay at home and continue doing what they love doing best, but with money. So it makes it a win-win for both sides.
Sean, isn't one of the big advantages of Harmony is when they actually get done, they can then take that credential, that GED, a diploma, whatever you call it, and then go to college. Whereas if they homeschool on their own, that's a challenge.
Right. So I was on a meeting today with an Idaho administrator, and that was his questions, like, how many of your students have gone through and graduated from high school? And it's very high. So we as parents enroll in Harmony, there's a certain checklist. Like, being a part of this program, you acknowledge that you're going to take part in this, this, and this, and this, because these are federal funds that are coming from the state. And so we have to do that in a careful manner. And we've learned, the gotchas, I guess you could say, in the states, of what we can and cannot do to keep it on the up and up. So, but it's great for families. A kind of a fun story I'll share. A lot of the parents after they get all the curriculum, they have like $800 or $900 left of that $1,800, and they buy different kits and resources, maybe through Amazon or different vendors, and they start stashing them in their house in their master bedrooms. And then when it's Christmas, all of a sudden, all these presents show up. And so that's kind of a fun story. So we just really try to support families and their efforts. And there's so many reasons why people homeschool these days. It could be an illness or bullying, or just with COVID, we all got used to this digital world. And a lot of times, a lot of students didn't come back. And so it's just kind of, we try to find a way to support everybody as part of that school choice movement, where we can help everybody where they're at and help them give that choice to educate in the way that they see fit. Right now, if you do homeschool, you sign that waiver, you get $0. So partnering with the right school districts is really the only way that we succeed as a company. So we appreciate the opportunity to find great partnerships, because that makes us turn around and help the families.
And you're like 100% academics as far as, is it up to the local school districts whether they will allow the Harmony students to participate in the extracurricular and co-curricular activities within that district?
I'm not sure if I follow exactly what
You
you're
want
saying.
to be older.
They would
So-
actually be enrolled in school.
They're
So they'd
enrolled
be-
in our
so they would
So they would be
enroll
able to
student
participate in
in
all
any
extra.
activity.
extra and co-curricular.
Yeah, in Corvallis, the trades are huge, and I would assume over here as well. They have a lot of projects where they teach kids the trades. And
So they could
that
join the
was-
skills organization. which
Exactly,
is the-
exactly. So yeah, it's a balance. They were skeptical in Corvallis if they would have 20 students. And I just got an email that they are at 176 students right now. And it's been less than a year. So people love it. They do. I hope you give us a chance to make that happen for you guys.
So just, I'm kind of a little naive on this, so I have to bear with me. So A and B obviously is the benefit for the school. That's enrolled students.
Mhm.
And you just mentioned that currently homeschool gets $0. So they're obviously, obviously it's enticing to them because they receive funding. Which they
Right.
no longer, or didn't receive funding before. I'm just clarifying.
Yeah, so if a traditional homeschooler back in the day, they would sign that waiver, they wouldn't get any of those tax dollars back as far as education goes. And also the school would miss out.
Right, no, I understand.
Yeah,
I understand the upside for the school. I'm just trying to figure out,
So,
is there more opportunity, I guess, as far as selections for classes or opportunities for, are the resources the same? Or
if they
or is
did
this-
it on their own,
Right,
if they did it on their own, they would have to pay for they wouldn't have the funding.
right. Outside the funding though, the classes that are offered, obviously you wouldn't have a certified teacher to call if you're struggling with
Right,
fractions.
right. No, there's a lot of,
That's the people, they know exactly what it
But
means.
that's what I'm trying to see
Yeah.
what the balance
Well,
is.
wouldn't
is
it just
what-
be that if you don't, like, right now, homeschool parents are funding it all on their own. They have to look for the curriculum. They pay
Mhm.
for it all on their own. Through this, then Harmony gets part of that money, which is then filtered to the homeschool family. School gets part of it.
right.
The homeschool family uses some of that money to buy, whether it's a laptop or something, but still able to use your
Yeah.
platform to choose what curriculum is best for their kid.
Right,
Is
and
that-
we purchase all those curriculums, like bulk pricing for all of our schools across the US. So, I was just having a conversation with superintendent, like curriculums are expensive for the schools, and that's just that one Ferris wheel approach. We want to provide a variety of offerings so that they can go in and customize. What a second grader might pick is totally different than an eighth grader. It's very, diverse. We have Rosetta Stone and MobiMax, Ingenuity, Edmentum. There's a ton of different offerings. We also have our Harmony approved curriculums where they can submit videos of their projects that they do at home. And, for those families that are traditional, pen and paper. They don't want their kids on screen time. We do that. So we really are flexible to give the families, the Harmony families. If we didn't, we would have been out of business years ago. We really try to diversify and give families what they want. Now, when it comes to religious curriculum, Harmony cannot purchase that. That would be on the parents' side. They would have to purchase that out of pocket.
Out of the $1,800, how can they use that $1,800?
No, they
Oh,
cannot.
can't?
No, because it's it's the state funds. Yeah. Any other?
So the 1,800, that's about a split. This district would get half the A and B. Is that presently about what A and B is worth per student? 3,600.
So I think we're contracted at about 2,800 for K-8 and 2,900 for, so, which would have cost us. So it's about half. The school gets half and the other half goes to Harmony and the parents.
Good questions. It's a tricky, for those of people that every day that order stuff from Amazon, you realize that Amazon doesn't make anything. They're the middleman. And I feel like that's a good analogy for Harmony. We're the middleman where we can help, give the money back to the school district, but we can also funnel it back to the kids. We're the middle person to kind of help
And the
deliver the services.
Burden of the bookkeeping and the goes to the district clerk or.
We get a bill, right?
Or,
I
yeah.
mean, technically, we would get a bill for the number of kids that.
Yeah, so
We're
we
enrolled.
head count and there'll be a bill twice a year, first semester, second semester.
And then we have 2 count dates, right? We have a spring count date or a fall count date and a spring count date. So you would have all of the students enrolled with Harmony's help, right? Students enrolled in our school district. So then we could report them as students to the state, which would then help the funding. So
I think
Technically,
Corvallis
right.
needed them in by October 1st.
it's the first Monday in October.
Yep. So, if the board approves this, we get the contract signed, we can step on the gas and put all those pieces together to recruit or let people enroll at that point.
What kind of obligation comes with it? I mean, is there like a lease or a contract or is it year to year?
You have to arm wrestle me, and if I win, then
Let me stretch.
okay. No, I know you win. It's,
You know what I'm saying? It's
year to
like
year
if
basis.
we
Yeah.
go for 2 years and all of a sudden it's just not working or it's.
Yeah.
The
I was
original
just,
contract's 3 years.
3 years.
we
Which
do,
I mean, that's obviously, it's
3
gonna
years.
take time to build something. I understand that. I just didn't know what
Yeah.
kind of
you have 90 days, either party, either Harmony or the school district, 90 days can say, look, let's break up. I don't like you. But we really don't have that. Like I said, 100% of our partnerships renewed and love it. Really cool story about a gentleman down in Barfield School District down by the national parks in Utah. He was brand new superintendent, came from Cedar City High School, and he's like, this sounds way too good to be true, but I'm going to give it a try for a year. He goes, just give me 50 students. Tried 50 students. 3 years later, he's up to 700. And the school board is like, we would never have these people move to our community, and we have all this funding, and our facilities it was just a win-win for everybody. And he kind of compares our program to Blockbuster Video. For those in the room that are old enough to remember, we used to go down to the store and get the treat and the movie and go back. And he's like, that's not available anymore. Everyone has Netflix and streaming, and that's kind of the way education's evolving. And if we don't get on board, things left behind. So we have to diversify. And
One last question from me. Is it, you mentioned earlier the St. Ignatius school area, is it in district only, or if it's out of district, do we normally have to go through the out of district approval? Would it still be our policy to accept kids that weren't in our school district?
They would have to apply before September 1st as an out-of-district student.
I'm just saying, so it's not limited to just our area.
oh no.
Okay.
In Montana, it depends on like the Tennessee groups I work with, it's in district. But in Montana, from my understanding with Superintendent Joseph, it's approved statewide.
Who was Alaska?
Statewide, Alaska.
We gotta fly to the island. There's no cars. That's where the contract is, but now has access to all of Alaska.
Very hard to recruit there.
I mean, nobody moves there.
Yeah. So it can grow. The first year we really tried to stay low in numbers just to create that partnership and work, with the teacher of record and make sure you understand everything. But we're going to do a big part of it. And we're not a huge K-12 corporate America type of company. We're more hands-on. We really want our partnerships to thrive. So we're very committed to, running as fast as you want to run, or if you want to go slow, we go slow.
And we will be applying for a charter school as well in November. If this is approved, we will be including this as part of our charter application, following the model of Corvallis's that wasn't approved last year. And that would mean basic entitlement for all three schools as well. But a big part of our charter is going to be pathways and career exploration K-12.
Do you have any success stories of maybe an at-risk student that was possibly going to drop out, or maybe had even been expelled from a system that decided to take the Harmony route and it turned his life around? Or
I'm more on there's the operations side, and then I'm kind of on the, side to get new contracts and connections, and I go to a lot of conferences and different things. I don't have one off the top of my head, but I'm sure I should get one.
because the parent and the guardian would have to be on board with it too to see it, and the student, if they heart's not in it, it's not going to happen at home, so, but maybe if the opportunities were more wide range and something would catch their eye, maybe.
Well, from a parent's perspective, I can sell you on the fact, I was real sick of the fact that we couldn't go anywhere as a parent, as a family, because the kids are in school. It's like we're in jail, right? You grab your laptop and you go wherever you want. Get your work done, and we can go to do whatever. That is a huge blessing to not be locked in, because you might as well have the kids might as well have a job. You're teaching them how to have a job instead of learning how be free. To me, that's a huge selling. I haven't been a parent of 5 kids.
Thank you.
I'm passionate about that. Can you tell?
Okay, we've taken enough time. Thank you.
Most of the stuff that I had covered. Mr. Hauser, did you get A and B then?
A and B. This.
Yeah, I think I understand it. Just to be clear on it. So as a taxpayer, we pay taxes.
Right.
I believe our tax bill, you might even say it's the same nation school. But from my understanding, all that money goes, and I'm sure this is a very simplified analogy, but it goes into some big pool of the state, right? And then the state redistributes that
Based on their calculation.
based off of enrollment numbers.
Yes, correct.
Exactly.
But am I hearing it correct that per head it's about, what did you say, 2,800?
It varies. So let me look back here. I can give you the exact numbers.
Depends on grade level.
Grade level elementary are worth less than
Okay.
middle school. Goes
50
elementary is like 50.
5,900 for elementary, 6,100 for middle school, and 78 for high school.
Oh, it's down below. So next.
But the schools, surely, I mean, you get funding from other sources too.
That's one of the
That's
arms
general
of
fund.
funding for the general fund.
Right.
Yes, there's like 7 different arms
Title
in
I,
that.
impact aid.
Yes, correct.
So would you say that A and B funding, what is that like? I don't know,
That pays for all the
10% of
teachers'
school
salaries.
Budget, just a ballpark.
Of a percentage?
Yeah, for the entire school district's budget.
What percent of the school district's budget? 100% of the salaries are paid out of the general fund, which is driven by
A and B. A and B pays for our teachers. That's the only thing it pays for.
Okay. But then there's other funding sources for facilities.
Impact aid.
buses and all that.
Title I. permissive mills. I mean, it gets pretty complicated after the
And-
basic.
And it depends on where you live, like you're not gonna have other funding depending on the school situation too.
So do I understand this correctly? The district then collects the A and B and reimburses Harmony for that?
Right, that's what the 2,900 number. And so in the fall, they would pay us 1,400 for half the year, 1,400 for the second half per
Here's the
student.
kicker, Mr. Marchand, we wouldn't get funded for those students until the following year because that A and B number is driven for the next year's budget. Yeah, correct.
Is A and B also over a period of time, like 3 years?
There is now a 5-year look back period. It used to be 3. You can go back 5 years and take your average annual number belonging so that those swings are a little more, or not so drastic.
So it might be a year or two before we could recover.
Very possible.
Very similar to our transitional kindergarten opportunity. The first year we funded it, and now it's been self-sustaining and additional funds for the school every year after that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Just took a little time.
yeah, it'll take a year. But I would also say with the charter and the, financially, fiscally, it will pay for itself.
Yeah.
Much in time.
The,
Well, the first year will be ahead.
Corvallis picked up 176 kids.
Mhm.
Impressive. Do students who were regularly enrolled drop out and go with Harmony? Do you know if that's-
No, they had a chat with superintendents and he said that wasn't the case. The traditional brick and mortar students stayed. There were several students that exited in Corvallis during COVID and just never returned.
Right.
And so this was like a really great solution.
So, could you launch for 24, 25, do you think? I mean, it's a month from now.
Oh yeah, that's the plan. That's why I came up here. If we could offer this even like for one or more students, that would be the goal. K-12 is what the agreement would be, to help any student, homeschool student.
One of the issues that we've been discussing is extra/co-curricular activities. And one of the features of co-curricular activities, we think, or it seems to me, is spending at least some time in the brick and mortar place, right?
Right.
I mean, if you were a Harmony student, would you be expected to attend occasionally? Never?
That would be kind of left up to the district and their policies. I don't know. I can speak to that.
When it comes to welding, unless you have a welder, where are you gonna go?
Right, exactly. Or a math contest.
Yeah.
Or a Christmas program. Those are all things that take classroom time.
From my understanding, it's in your code.
Yeah. We have really great superintendent up in Wasatch County School District, and he's like, these are our students too. We want to embrace them, and any type of big activities we have, plays, talent shows, whatever, we're inviting everybody. These students need to be a part of our
As long
district.
as they're.
Yeah. So it's not like, oh, you're in, outer homeschool world. No, it's online learning, with parameters and guidelines, standards. But of course, it's a way for those conversations to start, saying, we're having an activity at our school. We'd love to have you come.
So parents don't get entirely the vacation time they want. There'll be some obligations.
He would just not comment.
It reminds me, where we were living before, a guy was sick or something, and he said we could have his shipped food, the citrus store, what that place called? And you open it up, and it's like It's good fresh food, and it tells you how to cook it. And we're like, oh, this is good. You didn't have to go shopping for it. It just shows up, and you can't screw it up. It's kind of like that, but you don't have to eat it.
Will there be somebody in the district helping recruit and like the counselor are getting people signed up, or?
So the registrar will be the biggest part of the piece to input those student names into the.
School informational system.
Yeah.
The system will be Jackie and Miss Connie.
And as far as like local newspapers, how do you get the word out that this is available in St. Ignatius
Oh,
schools?
yeah, once the contract's
Website.
signed, we contact a lot of our co-ops. We do a lot of social media campaigns. We also attend statewide conferences, do booths, fairs, a lot of different events.
Of course, if you know how to make it happen, put it on a sign in the local grocery store. Well, then that's the answer.
Yeah. And then word of mouth if it works.
Well, and
working
small-
for some
yeah.
people, there you go.
Corvallis, we were just really impressed how they spread the word. Small communities, same as here.
How long would it take you to find out where to go to get $1,800? Right? I mean, you hear that, you're like, what?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Okay.
since this is just presentation, this is a board agenda item, so we will approach it here soon.
Okay.
So with that being
Thank you.
said, thank you very
Yeah,
much
thanks.
for the
Yeah,
information. And we will move on to end of year financial reports.
All right.
Do we have a chance to ask some questions?
Well, it's gonna be a board item here in about 5
There's
minutes.
an action item, and
Will they be present?
are you guys going anywhere?
No, we'll stay.
They'll be here.
Is there donuts?
There's not. There's going to be really droll and boring financial information. I did not know we were going to have extended presentations today. So, Mr. Sargent, if you would please start with the letter to the auditors. This is a quick update for you guys. Last month we were talking about issues that the county was having, providing the reports that we needed for the end of the year, closeouts, financial balances, whatnot. They wrote us this nice letter that basically gives us, a reason why things are going to be delayed. It doesn't fix a situation. In fact, it's not a solution at all. Everything's still on a timeline, but it just does explain to everybody why things are not going as planned. County clerk and recorder resigned Monday after months of things being kind of backlogged. They came in, looked at it, and said that it's probably worse off than everybody realizes, and school districts are probably not the priority with everything that they have that's running up there. So we're going to be delayed a bit. We're currently working on our audit packets right now. A lot of that we need information from the county. So I'm reverse engineering that with as much confidence as I can. It's basically double the work than it should be, with probably mistakes. But we had a meeting with the audit team today, and they are on board with that, knowing that down the line we're going to have to make some adjustments. So not a very fun time the last 2 days in the office, but it's a symptom, not a cure. So we'll work through it. So if you go to the budget consideration cover sheet, I'm just going to pop this one up really quick because we did have some of our end of the year balances play out. The two that we're looking at really are the general fund. You see that $3,793,184, and the transportation of $574,000. Tuition could also go in there. It's $101,000. Those are all based on the proposed budget that you approved last year. Those approvals were based on the tax dollars that you were going to raise in that permissive levies. So go ahead and click back out of that, Mr. Sargent. Now, Micah, that $3 million, you could probably do the math backwards and you'll understand that we don't have enough kids for that, whatever, 3,900, 4,100, 6,100, doesn't add up to $3 million. There's about 7 arms of general funding that come from the state. One of them is direct A and B, but the A and B stands for annual number belonging, basically enrollment, right? Enrollment drives all of those arms into how much each school is going to get. So that number is a guideline for what each student brings in that one arm, but it also drives each one of those arms into what the state's going to provide. One of them is called direct state aid. One of them is Indian Education for All. There's special education money that comes into there. There's multiple items. It's a really convoluted calculation. In fact, I think they're at the state level right now trying to make that a little bit easier, or at least a little bit more modern, to reflect what the current situations in schools are. But as of right now, we're going with what's currently in place. So yeah, I didn't want you to start doing the math in your head and be like, that doesn't add up, because it's true, it doesn't. But it's a lot more complicated once you start digging into it. However, those numbers are still valid as to why your budget will go up or down based on what the general fund is from the state. So if you'll go to general budget end of year, this was one I think everybody was curious about, and all of this is on there. You can see there's packets, like there's more than one page to each. I'm going to focus on the front page because we're just for the brevity and time. Title VII in red means that we actually overspent our Title VII fund by $12,000. So I had to transfer that expense into the general budget. Okay. Meaning that just continued to add up what was current, in the general budget at the end of the year. And then I looked where we had money and I credited those back out to balance us at the end of the day. Title I had about $4,600 left in salaries. We're a Title I school-wide school, so I was able to move $4,600 of salaries into Title I. Impact Aid Children with Disabilities is a statute where we get money for Impact Aid for kids with IEPs. So the terminology is a little bit dated, children with disabilities, but it's basically kids with an IEP. That money does have to be spent on direct education. So teachers, aides, something of that sort. So I transferred that amount, which came in $58,995. I transferred that amount of expenditure into Impact Aid because that is a direct one-to-one expense. All right. Medicaid services. So we are able to bill for students who have needs that are over the top. Those are generally in the funding of aids for those students. So I was able to take the expense of $30,301 or some of those aids expenses and transfer those into the Medicaid services, which is in a miscellaneous fund. Tuition fund, that's the $101,000 that you guys voted on for the permissive levy. We only were funded $95,000. There's back taxes, which is going to take a while for us to get from the county now that they're in transition. So instead of $101,000, we transferred $95,000 of our SPED services. So that would be teachers, aides, the like. When we present that to the board in August, I took basically my top 8 students with needs and did the calculation and came up with what it would cost to serve those students. And then that's the number that we had been comfortable with in the past. We could probably do it with multiple more students, but it would increase permissive levies. So those are decisions that you guys have to make. The math's there, but obviously at the end of the day, it's all tax driven. And then the last one, Jason, if you would go back up for me. And then the last one is the Impact Aid fund balance. So what you'll see there is after all of that money was taken and put into other funds, $96,000, we were still over $96,000 what our base budget for the general fund was. So I transferred that amount of expenditure and I took that out of a salary line and moved that into the Impact Aid fund as well. So at the end of the day, when I finished doing all my transfers, we were $297,000 over the general budget amount, but there's other pots of money that it can flow into as long as I monitor those. But the big number is the one at the end, $96,000 is what we were over this year after it was all said and done.
Because in the past you spoke of going into Impact Aid for salaries.
Yes.
Is that the dollar amount?
That has never been the dollar amount. It's usually, I usually put a holding number of about 50,000 in there as a budget line item. With moving things around, we generally stay under that. This year we're over by that amount, and that's before we were able to give raises this year. So that doesn't include the raises or insurance increases or any of that. So that decision that we made in the spring will impact that number even further. I can tell you that next year, so go ahead, Jason, go down to the very bottom number. You can see, well, you guys saw the number on the front page. It was that 3,700,000 and right all the way down. It shows where it balances up a little bit right there. 3 million in the middle column, $3,739,182. That was our general budget amount for this year. Next year, that number is going to be $3,749,000. We were increased even with inflation, $10,000 overall because of our drop in A&B over the last year. So the general budget is not increasing with the inflationary costs that we're seeing based on our enrollment, which is possibly part of the reason why Mrs. Sargent had that presentation today. So that's the financial status of the general budget. Any questions?
It looks like we budgeted 650,000 for retirement.
So that is at the county level. We don't pay for that, but the county does pay for that, right? That goes into one big county retirement fund. So we have to do a analysis of what it's going to cost us for our retirement paid into TRS, PERS, but that all goes into a big county fund. So it's not paid out by the school. However, it is paid by the taxpayers. So go to transportation, please. I want to show this one really quickly. So these are all a packet. I can print these packets, or you can use these digitally online to come up with more questions, because the last one's a doozy. But I just want to show you, when we did the proposal this year, there's a number down there right under total days per year of 499,949. That's the estimate of our cost after we take our cost per day and the amount of days that we were going to run. Okay, so 499,000 was what our expenditures were going to be. We're able to bank 20% as a reserve. We, as a board or as a unit, decided to bank 15%. So what we asked for in our total budget was 574,941. That's the number you saw on that very first budget consideration that we voted on last year. Last year, the amount spent was about 454,000. We projected 499,000. Jason, if you will go down, please, to the very bottom of this one, you guys. And I can't see it. The number is 506,717. Okay, the difference in that is that we ran a salary line item in there that I hadn't considered when we were doing the negotiation. Our assistant district clerk does a lot of the TR5s, TR35s, the reporting for the state. And in doing so, we're able to take a salary line item based on her work for in transportation. So really, we were, if the amount was probably roughly $8,000. So really, we were right on what our proposed amount was going to be. So at the end of the year, we'll know whether or not our reserves are enough and whether or not what the number is going to be when we have to add the next increase. But we are about as close as we possibly could be with what our projection was going to be at the end of the year. And if you would go to the impact aid preliminary budget, here's the one where you guys, I'm going to give you homework. You can come up with as many questions as you want. This thing is 64 pages long. Okay. Yeah, is it? It is 81. Okay. It's 81 pages long. It got longer. It gives us a 4-year actual. So if you go across, you guys can see that there's 2021, 21, 22, 22, 23, 23, 24. Those are the actual spent amounts, expenses in those line items. Some of them, you'll see some trends, like 2021, we didn't finish the school year. So there was some stuff going on there that you're going to see it grow, or what you're really going to notice is in 23, 24, some of those expenses are really going to bump up because ESSER funding sunset. So what we've done is kind of what we've talked about in the past is that we like to take a 3-year average. Well, the last 3 years weren't average at all for us. So 23-24 was really the first year we're gonna have an idea of what our expenses are going forward. At the very last page, you'll see, I'll just say it out loud. I mean, last year we spent, well, the year before, so this is last year, this June, we finished with $1.4 million spent out of impact aid. The previous year was $962,000. We know that 96,000 of that is salaries, and we know that 333,000 of that was finishing the building project. So probably pretty close, but there's some things in there, some subscriptions, some curriculum, some things that we will probably be taking a look at and deciding, you know, what is our realistic budget for that? Mr. Nesper's been in here talking in the past about not having a budget. Well, he had a budget, not an impact aid. It was all built into different funds. And now we have to decide what type of budget does he need to support what we've spent over the last 3 years. Spending the money that came from the federal government now comes with upkeep. So we're going to have to really take a look at this and decide what our prelim budget's going to be for this year. And I mean, I think in the past, Stan, you're one of the people who's asked, you know, what is the process for this? This is it. And the more eyes, the merrier, right? Like if there's any questions, feel free to come in and ask me. I've got probably about 15 line items that I've highlighted that are spots of interest to me. So if anybody has that interest, I would love to share it with them. I just think that tonight we got enough other stuff going on. So that's the financial update. Any questions?
On the 23-24 general budget page.
Yep.
End of year. Is that, yeah, end of year.
Mm-hmm.
I was just curious. Maybe it makes sense now. The D and the C in the right-hand margin, that's debit and credit?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes. So you will see some items go in, some items go out. But yeah, if you're actually going to take the deep dive in that, Mr. Marchand, I would have to probably give you a key. But yeah, correct. Debit and credit will be the.
Say we're 12,000 over budget on the type of things.
Yep. So, and kind of you'll see at the very end of it, like, you know, if you look available appropriations, you'll see that everything's kind of in the negative in the last column. It's because we didn't set a true budget line for each one of those line items. We knew what our amount was, and we knew that we were going to be pushing or going over that amount. So, you know, I had a clerk in the past who would go back in and zero all those out so it looked like everything was clean. That's not really truly the story. The story is this is what we spent.
You're talking here about the impact aid preliminary budget.
Oh yeah, and any of those, yeah, right. Like and so impact aid is going to be one where going forward, I would actually like to have those line items budgeted out. So you see like where, you know, the right hand column where it says prelim budget 24-25. I would like to go through and fill that in and say that, you know, we're going to spend. An example is last year we spent $85,000 on repair and maintenance. Okay, that was up about $30,000 from the previous year. Is that inflation? Is that the cost of services? You know, or did we have more stuff that needed to be fixed this year? Like we have to go in and do the analysis of that, do the autopsy of why was that $30,000 spent, and then decide what that number needs to be this year, and then whether or not we're able to hold that line or what the projected trend is. So.
Well, just looking at those line items, a lot of it looks like it's just inflation. I mean, how it
Yeah,
steps every year. I mean, I'm just, you know, not every one of them, but I mean,
It's
like your electricity.
and easy
your
one's
disposal
electricity.
services,
Yeah.
It's just, that's just cost of living has gone up.
Right.
So it makes sense that every line is increased by that much.
So
Advertising, insurance.
We have increased impact aid from 9 years ago when we took over in the office. We were at 450,000 for impact aid. We've run 800 to 1.2 for the last 7. And that was a lot of help from Rose McCrae and a lot of people up at the tribe that helped us clean up those lists, make sure that we had every dollar.
we increased revenue and we did a deep analysis of what's. So an example was a Xerox machine. Xerox was costing us about $100,000. We took out 3 or 4 new leases on machines, even though they were not the greatest machines 10 years ago, and cut that down to $25,000. So we saved $75,000 just by looking at a lease, things like that. So when we took over, we did a deep dive of all that, and now I think it's time post ESSER, post that funding, that we do the same thing again and decide what's duplicate, what's not, and come up with a line item that is.
It's back to realities, because those ESSER years were not really.
Yeah,
reality.
and the data is not, it's not truthful, but it's more spread out, right? Like the data was really more spread out. We now have 23, 24, which tells us really where we're at with what we spent over those years and what we have to support.
So you're looking from us for,
If you have any questions, concerns, or ideas on that, because each one of those right now is just a repair and maintenance. That's an example right there. So that's just a number, right, Mr. Marchant? The actual truth of that is, and I don't have it. Oh, here it is right here. So that is 5 pages of claims and what they cost, right? So we could go through those and look at that and kind of ID tomorrow what we spent that by August 1st. No.
well, I'm looking at the phone, just on page 3 of 81.
Right.
And, 2021 was about 5,000. 23, 24 was 21,000. That sounds more than inflation.
In 2021, we did a voice over update for phone lines that were, we were told we're going to cost us $45,000 to update. With ESSER funds, we were able to update them for, I can't remember, $19,000, $20,000, but we were able to get voice activated or VoIP. Took out the original landlines, but in doing so, that's one of those things that came up that it costs more to maintain that. So, 45-year-old lines that we were told that at some point were going to need to be done. So, took advantage of the situation that was used to communicate to students who were remote learning. And that's exactly a perfect one to point out. That's one of those things that happened that now we need to support.
Somebody else?
Please, somebody else take the floor.
There's not much information to go on here.
No. You guys can have more time. Homework's due by August 1st.
I was gonna say, we'll go over this next month.
You can, I'll present the numbers for what you'll be voting on, the permissive mills, but that's really the meat of what we have operations wise that I think a lot of questions have been asked in the past, and here it is. Everybody can look at it.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you, Mr. Uncle. We will move on to new business. Go off right off 10.0 Harmony contract with what Shawnee covered here just a little bit ago.
So recommending the approval of partnership with Harmony for the 24-25 school year for a soft launch of the platform. It would be a 3-year contract for homeschool students with a proposal of cost of $2,800 per student K-8, $2,900 per student 9-12. Rationale: help homeschool families while helping school district, St. Ignatius School District umbrella all students in and around our district into a great opportunity for a win-win for all involved. This would also contribute to our charter school proposal that will also could possibly bring in basic entitlement $500,000 a year if approved for a charter school K-12. Charter schools would encompass and create career pathways, Native American inclusion and language, as well as homeschool opportunities. This proposal, we're going to be using Corvallis as already test run, and we're approved for their charter school for their proposal, which we will be using to model for our district. This may help St. Ignatius School District avoid cuts, increase funding, and enroll more of our community into our school system. We will hold a strict discretion on who's allowed, since we do not want to lose students we currently have enrolled. There are sectors of the community that we want to allow this opportunity while not losing students we currently have in our system. This will be a tightrope, but I believe worth effort of trying and doing everything we can to make the very best school system for all involved, both families in our school and at home. So some of the numbers crunched by the help of Shawnee, given I gave her, what we get, in terms of basic entitlement. Every elementary A and B's were 5,900, middle schools were 6,100, and high schooler is worth 7,800. Profit margin you can look at in terms of a 50-50 split, and could mean an additional for 40 students, 132,000. Adding those two amounts, 171,000. This is looking at just a projected number, best guess. We have no idea. It could be 1, it could be 50, it could be 80. I mean, it's hard to say, but I anticipate we won't have the Corvallis numbers. They have a bit of a unique situation that they were able to tap into, but optimistic in the opportunity for all involved. And this is a new world, and we need to be on board with the times, and at the same time protect what we have in terms of what we believe in. And I believe it's at this point the right thing to do, not only financially, but for families and the community as a whole.
Okay, so we have to have a motion, and then we will open it up for discussion.
I make the motion to recommend the approval of a partnership with Harmony for the 24-25 school year to soft launch this platform for homeschool students with the proposed cost of $2,800 per student K-8 through 8 and $29 per student 9 through 12.
I'd second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded, and is there any discussion? I do have one question, and I meant to ask it earlier. Shawnee, this might be for you. So basically this is, what is the downside for the school? What is the initial cost? If for instance, if we have 0 applicants, there's no fees?
Exactly. Yeah. You can't charge them for.
Right, well, I just didn't know if there was,
Yeah.
You coming here, admin fees just to even get it off the ground.
No,
Okay.
of course
I
not.
didn't see anything, but so I'm just.
No, that's a good question.
I look for transparency, so I want to make sure nothing's hidden in the bottom there.
I think we did address it, but I think I will remind you guys again that the first year we will not see any.
Right, no, I'm just saying,
financial- Yeah.
I'm just saying, does it cost you anything just to even
Yeah,
get
no
started?
one steps forward.
Right,
and-
right. Okay. That was my.
I don't think that would be the case, but
Right, but I mean, I still have to.
worst case scenario, yeah.
When we just talked about a budget, it's kind of nice to know what it might be looking us in the face.
We will only charge you for the head count, and if the students do drop, they try to backfill so that we're not overcharging the schools for students that, for one reason or another it doesn't pan out for them. It's not a model for some students. A lot of them thrive in the environment. That's all they know. But a lot of students, it doesn't, for a handful of students, it doesn't work out. And all those big decisions will be put on the district. Like the mentor will connect with this family and the student every week. And then every month we'll provide tracking reports to administrators to show you, okay, you have 50 students, 45 of them are on point and pacing and on keeping up with all the, is required. These 5 students, not so much. And then we talk to the administrators and say, what would you like to do? Would you like to give them another chance to see if they can redeem themselves, or should we drop them? So,
Thank you.
a lot of times we find out from the Harmony mentors that maybe there was a death in the family, or, you know, just life, stuff happens. And so we try to, you know, pass that information on to give people, you know, grace and patience to learn this model and see if they can succeed at it. And for a lot of kids that need special accommodations or more time on tests, it's kind of built into that homeschool day. They have more flexibility. They're not put in this high pressure brick and mortar classroom where they're competing. It's all self-paced. And so it's, a lot of kids thrive in that learning environment.
And there was, you mentioned earlier, there's a count day twice a year. Does that coincide with our count day for school, Adam? Or do you?
Well, I
do you
think
know?
she said there's a billing in the spring and or in the fall and the spring, and so that would coincide with our count date. Okay. So.
And we work on a case by case basis if we need to adjust the time, you know, your payments. We can break it up, whatever's comfortable for you.
I just meant the head count, like who's enrolled.
Right,
on-
for the
if
state of
it's
Montana.
simultaneous, right?
State of Montana, it's October 1st. So
count
we would have to
won't
know
coincide.
between now
Right.
and October who wants to do it.
And some of the drops may just go full-time back into the classroom.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
And it wouldn't affect A and B numbers at all if that happened. But there's no data as like what percent of the drops or any exit interview data from the mentors, what's
It seems
they're
like
doing
once,
next.
you know, the kids get into middle school and especially high school, being at home learners is kind of not cool, and they don't want
Yeah.
to do that all the time. So we recognize that.
In the recommended action, it says the proposed cost of $2,800 per student K through 8 and $2,900 per student 9 through 12. Is that per previously unenrolled student? Is that what we're talking about? The
That's
cost
a-
of the district would be that much for any
Per
student who was
student.
previously unenrolled.
yes, or a student that's enrolled in Harmony.
Right.
Right.
But previously, so they could have been enrolled otherwise, right?
Yeah, the goal is to not rob from the brick and mortar to do the online. But, you know, we're hopeful that those existing homeschool families that want to embrace this, give it a try, they enroll through Harmony. And then we share our student management systems databases with your registrar so that you list them as a student of record and have their data.
So out of the 6,100 we would get for A and B, 2,800 would go back as one of the students.
To enrolled Harmony.
Right.
Should the recommended action reflect that? Because it's not per student, but per enrolled Harmony student.
Well, that's what we're talking about, is the partnership with Harmony, so that they'd be Harmony students.
Yeah.
Under that's how I see it, under the umbrella
No,
of
yeah, no.
all Harmony students would be.
It seems obvious enough, but it's not.
Oh.
Corvallis just registered them as, you know, Corvallis students, and then they had a little special notation. They were Harmony. I mean, it just, you know, it depends on how you kind of organize.
This is just the cost per student that's enrolled with Harmony.
Just for clarity, what is a soft launch?
A soft launch. Did I use that term?
That was my turn.
Yeah.
Maybe I could ask,
Okay.
maybe I'm gonna ask me, soft launch
What's a
means,
hard launch? That's what I.
Yeah. the hard launch, a soft launch is, we're currently at July and school starts in a month. So it will be just like TKO, first year we jumped in, we're getting going. It might end up with 5, 10, 15. I don't know. It may be a hard launch. I don't know. It might be a hard launch. I don't know. But the idea is that we want to get it started with the idea that this grows.
When we last spoke about this, we thought it might be accomplished by in-house.
We looked into that, yes.
And
We've had in-house for years. We've had Mission Forward Academy as a principal. I started that 20 years ago. We've always had that opportunity at the high school, middle school, to run it ourselves. I think the difference is that's plugging a student into one program that we have available with not a lot of support or financial support for the parent. And that's the difference. The difference is this provides options for parents. I could tell you in 22 years of administration that we've had a lot of attempts at online, at home, high school students that, we've had a few success stories, but very few in terms of how many students through Montana Digital have, and we still have that option. We could still offer high school students Montana Digital. We still have Mission Forward Academy with all of the online programs that we can offer here for students in our school in Mission Forward Academy. But the outreach here and the idea is to expand beyond our current students.
is the contact with Harmony students entirely electronic? Are there teachers who would visit them or at home?
Well, they have their mentor assigned to them, the certified, Harmony mentor, and then if they need assistance in one content area, they can schedule an office time for a live certified teacher.
But it's entirely electronic.
Yes, yes, online. Mm-hmm. And another thing that I didn't point out is, if you know the term synchronous and asynchronous learning, a lot of times during COVID, the teachers would be like, okay, we're going to start our Zoom presentation at 9 o'clock. So if those students didn't show up at 9 o'clock, they missed out. And so, asynchronous allows you to pick up where you left off, making it very flexible for these families to make sure they can, continue within their own, lives and utilize the curriculums at their convenience too. Yeah, I think we talked about that last night at dinner. Some of these programs are just like not flexible enough for people's hectic lives.
And you mentioned your curriculum goes to the standards and some of the testing that would be done. Will these students be tested as well?
Yeah. I mean, as part of the state funding that, in most states, some states they can opt out, but I believe in Montana.
I'm sorry, were you talking about testing for the
just
curriculum or state testing?
Testing what the in-house kids do. Will our Harmony students be tested the same as the in-house? No.
Not, are you talking
Like
state tests or district tests? Like an English
SBAC
9?
or whatever they're
Oh,
using.
SBAC, yeah. State tests, yes.
Yeah.
They will.
Yes.
Probably because the A and B is tied to that.
Yes.
You need to have that.
Yes.
And those are the acknowledgements that the parents, acknowledge before we allow them to enroll.
And we can do that, and I don't know, we would have to we haven't crossed that bridge yet in terms of how we would get those assessments done. Can we do that an alternative? I don't know if we can do. I don't know. Those are bridges we will cross.
Once we,
That's why it's a soft launch.
And remember, if there's only a couple
And
of
soft launch.
it'll be easier if there's not, 200 the first year. There's 5, 10, 15, 20 or whatever per year.
Right.
You got questions? Mikey, you mentioned earlier, you got questions for us, her? Anyone?
It sounds like we'll have to revisit the extra / co-curricular policy then,
Mm-hmm.
no?
Mm-hmm. No.
Yes. Because they would be enrolled.
Right, but you'd have to be here for some of those activities, right?
Yeah, be here, you got to be here, yeah.
So there'd be some brick and mortar instruction if you wanted to be in the music program or math contest or.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I asked a question with Tim, you were saying, how does that look for like an elementary student who wants to come to music class, but he's at home online learning the rest of the time? Does he just sign up for 3rd grade music class with Connie and show up?
And I guess that would depend on a case to case. I mean, there's the idea that you could do both, you know, that you could sign up, but I would say we would probably, you know, want to explore like whether it's halftime, you know, are they going to be just for music class, but they're doing the other 6/7 online, as long as it adds up to 7/7 and 100% educational program, then it's fine for full A and B. I wouldn't want to do, you know, a part-time music and nothing, you know, or a separate program. We're trying to get this all under one umbrella.
Sure.
That's a full student, whether it's here at school or at home. Yes.
So if they had if they were a harmony student that wanted to do 3rd grade music or wanted to do like they're a 5th grader and they want to do, you know, whatever it is at the elementary, as long as their 6/7 is happening with the harmony program, the other 1/7.
Yeah, and we'd have to look at that. I mean, class numbers, class size. I mean, you're asking a lot, and there's a lot of. I think we'd have to look at it, you know, from the standpoint
So
of
how would we do that? Come to you?
come to me.
Come
Yes.
to Miss Moore?
First, we got to get it started,
Okay.
and then I'll
And
work
then we
on
come to you
how.
with our case and say,
Yes.
here's a
Yes.
student that I want to put in elementary
Yeah.
for music.
Yeah.
And then we would discuss.
Yes.
It's the term soft.
No, that's fine. I just want to make sure what would be
one
on
of their
their
electives, if there was room in the class.
Room in the classroom. I mean, there's a lot of
Sure.
that. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because don't we kind of already do that with some kids that are homeschooled, like if they come and do a class or two?
yes.
Addition forward.
Yeah, so it's kind of. But that's not allowed in elementary, right?
Right. We wanted at
Yeah.
least halftime. I mean, I can't remember what we said. We wanted them to count as full A and B. We didn't want the partial in out. This will help us maybe with some more flexibility in that. But, you know, I think those are going to be some of the sit down conversations with the elementary principal and how this flow works. But I think it can be figured out.
Yeah, I have a question just because of what you just touched on. So, because I'm trying to decide, like, do we do the harmony or do we just do our own thing, you know, taking those classes that I feel like they need. So if, you know, it's like, this is for my daughter, she's gonna be in high school, you know, do we sign her up for certain classes? Like, is that something that's available? Like, I could continue to homeschool on certain things and then other things she could come in for daily things. I didn't realize that was something that was available.
If you're involved with the Harmony and the school district, yes.
Oh, okay.
So it counts as a whole. I think of it in terms of if we can count a student as a student of St. Ignatius school system and they're involved with high school Harmony accredited classes and they're taking a welding course, for example. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, but like, what do you offer now apart from Harmony, because you just alluded
Apart
to-
from, yeah, we have Mission Forward Academy.
Mission Forward Academy, okay, so that's something else, I guess.
That's
for-
something else. That's Montana Digital Academy and also Edgenuity are the two, which is Edgenuity is also a part of Harmony, but we use those two platforms for online learning for our high school. But that also involves a full schedule, whether it's here or at home. It wouldn't be just coming in for a shop class. We would need a full-time signed up for Montana Digital, Edgenuity, and shop PE, as long as it adds up to a whole. We've had that for 15 years.
Okay,
At
so the
least.
thing with the Harmony is that you have more options of other classes.
Yeah, more curriculum options and then like $1,800.
Okay, gotcha.
That makes sense?
Yeah, it's getting there.
Okay. It's pretty big. It is. It's a lot.
So right now though, I mean, like for athletics, like I know that's kind of like an open thing, correct, to be able, homeschoolers to be able to do athletics.
Yes, at the high school level
Middle school.
Middle school.
and middle school. Well, no, the middle school is up to us.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
state mandated. State mandated for high school. It's only high school. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
middle school. Who said that? Not middle
Mary.
school.
No.
Sorry. It's not middle school. It's high school is MHSA. They can, homeschool students can be enrolled in extracurriculars.
But those are
That's allowed on a, yeah.
outside of the school day. My concern would be activities that have to be performed within the school day, like practicing for the music program or practicing for math contests or Skills USA, or, I mean, there's a lot of things that need in classroom, maybe not Skills USA, but I know Miss Baldwin practices for the music program
Mm-hmm.
during music class. And math teachers practice for the math program during math class. And it'd be hard to take a math at home and then show up for, I don't know, maybe it's not. I would think it might be. Take math or music at home and then just show up for the event.
What I'm hearing from a lot of people is they're trying to get a sense of all the options available. Like if you're a homeschool parent, how can I have my kid take part in certain classes at the school, also perhaps participating with this Harmony thing. Also, still reserve the right to, teach my kid at home in whatever way I have. Like, how do we do that? How do we navigate it? Right now, this is extremely confusing. Harmony, Mission Forward, I've never heard of Mission Forward.
We've had Mission Forward
Please
at least for
explain
15 to 20 years.
Never heard of it. And then
Yeah.
what about this charter school?
Charter school is an application that's due in November. We haven't written it yet. It hasn't been started. That application is due in November.
But why are you doing it and how is it related to this?
It'll be a part of the charter school application,
What will be?
Harmony, if it's approved.
Why are we trying to become a charter school?
We have the opportunity to integrate a charter school within our school district like 19 other districts did last year for the basic entitlement funding, additional dollars. And I would guess there's going to be many more than 19 next year.
So you need to create a charter school to have Harmony?
Nope,
So-
Harmony's entirely separate.
So if Harmony is not approved to come on, what would the charter school do?
Charter school would have both we would have our tribal enrichment programs as well as career pathways K-12.
And that would be available for fully enrolled students?
Yes.
I think charters just offer more flexibility, don't they? I mean, it's what one of our partners in Idaho converted from a public school district to a charter. And they have their list of reasons, so I don't know how Montana navigation is that.
Right now, it's a big mess, I'll be honest.
Okay,
Cause it's new, it's a new
okay.
thing
Yes.
here.
Right. It's not going the way it was intended, and it's more than likely going to end up, I can't speculate where it's going, but I can tell you there's a whole lot of confusion around charter schools, its intent. It was put out there in two separate bills, and two separate bills have led to a lot of confusion and interpretation and lawsuits and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, there's a lot of confusion around charter schools in Montana right now. But I can tell you that we are going to apply for the additional funding in November. What that'll look like will eventually end up here as well, but it hasn't even gotten started. I have a model that I'm working on from Corvallis that was approved last year, but we're a long ways from that application right now. Does that make sense?
Okay, I saw the word charter school in there, the first charter school in there. So is this action item approving that? Has it already been approved to go forward and create this charter school, or is that?
No.
It's November, he was saying.
November.
That's
Yeah.
completely exclusive of this action item.
This would be a part, what I'm mentioning in there, and this is not as part of the action item. Now we can get into the weeds with this, but I'd like to move forward with the action item because it is going to be a part of our application in November for our charter school. If it's approved, Harmony will be part of our charter application. Yes.
At the beginning of the meeting, you looked at me and I felt like you were implying that bringing on Harmony is somehow satisfying my concerns about non-enrolled students and co-curricular activities. And that's still not clear to me how that is addressing.
Okay, I guess we'll get to that. I guess I could answer it now, or I could answer it in two agenda items. But what this will do is give homeschool students that want to enroll with Harmony the opportunity to be a part of our school district and a part of co-curriculars, which I would hope answers and gets to your point of your letter, a community ecosystem that you are shooting for. I would hope this is a step in the right direction to meet you halfway. And that's why I looked at you in terms of this is, I would hope, makes more sense for you in terms of the co-curricular, that those homeschool students could then be a part of our school system and a part of Missoula Children's Theater and participate in our programs just like any other student.
That's predicated on them enrolling in Harmony, which requires them to sit in front of the computer for basically.
It's an opportunity.
It's one opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
But how, from when I looked at it, and I know this is another dead item, but when I looked at the handbooks, if you are a homeschool non-enrolled student, decide not to take part in the Harmony, you're still excluded from co-curriculars.
Yes.
Okay. I just want to be clear that I don't feel like connecting the implementation of this Harmony program addresses my concerns completely.
Okay.
And that's fine. This may be a good option for other families, and that's great. If they want to do it, so be it.
Okay.
But also, as I mentioned, we do traditional packets, so don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. Like, really look into it, investigate. How do you want to educate your child? Because we've had every question that has come up. We have packets. We FedEx them to your home. You're saying you don't want your child sitting in front of a computer.
It actually has to do more with the participation in co-curricular activities.
Right, and so is what Harmony's trying to do is create that harmony, if you will. It's a pun. Just creating more unity, bridging the gap between home and school. So giving you that opportunity to say, we are part of the school, but we decide to educate at home. So you kind of have the best of both worlds. You can do the co-curricular, and then you can educate at home within the walls of your own home.
I get that, but
Mhm.
I mean, I realize you're just here today.
Yeah.
I understand the full nuances of what I've been engaging with
Yeah.
over the past 6 months, so there's a little bit more to it than that. And I don't feel like this is.
No, you're not, right?
No.
You know.
Okay.
So I do have one question for you though. Are any religious organizations affiliated with your business or have ownership?
No, you cannot, because of the division between church and state. So any religious curriculum that the parents want to purchase, it's out of pocket. You can't allocate this. There's one called the, a Christian-based one called the Bold and the Beautiful, or, good, sorry, that was a soap opera I watched. I knew, what is it called, the Good and the Beautiful, that people love, but Harmony can't pay for that, unfortunately. But if you want to integrate that as part of your learning at home, then. Thank you.
You said that the $1,800 that is coming back to the families, right? 1,000 of that has to be paid back to Harmony to purchase the curriculum.
So $1,800 is not like, we're gonna write you a check and give you the money. We have you would log in and get qualified, accepted through the Harmony program, if you acknowledge, the different things. And then you have $1,800 in like a kitty account, if you wanna call it, where you go in and you check your core and electives. So we're not gonna send you a check, or like, there's a lot of no-nos from the state to do reimbursement or anything like that. But you go through us to receive all of that. Curriculum and educational resources.
So
Is this pertinent to the board's
So,
decision?
so this has to, you're gonna have to, I mean, this is on your guys' time, so you understand, I mean, if you wanna look into Harmony, that's gonna have to be your,
Yeah, and
Personal-
I can get you.
we can ask our own personal questions, but as far as a board, this has already been, like, we either accept it or don't accept it, because if we're beating up against a wall, then it doesn't matter. You will have the choice to, if it's approved, then you have the choice to look into it if you wanna be a part of it or not be a part of it. You could ask her questions all day for a week, right? I mean, that's gonna have to be a personal decision, who wants to be a part of it, who doesn't wanna be a part of it. But as far as the board, this decision is for this school district, whether we wanna take this on or not take it on, which has been moved or seconded. So do we have any other questions up here?
Hey, real quick though, we
Yeah.
were invited here tonight to speak to these people,
Right.
right? And they still have questions that need
That's fine,
answered,
I'll get you the right
which
person.
might inform our feedback to the board, right? And you guys are about ready to vote on this.
Right, it's just a soft start. It's either gonna work or not gonna work. I'm just saying there might not be any applicants. That was my original question. But I can't tell you that you have to do it or not do it.
But it still affects me as a taxpayer, right? Because ultimately, my money, in some way, shape, or form, is gonna be filtered into the program. It's gonna go to this business, which may go to families.
It's gonna go to the state no matter what.
Yeah, you're gonna miss.
We're
out
all
on
gonna
money
pay the
if
same
that's
taxes, whether your
Yeah.
children are enrolled or not.
Or don't have children.
You know, your children,
But you still pay taxes.
you still pay taxes. We're all gonna pay the same taxes.
I think that sounded more like a warning, like don't have children.
Yeah, we're just here, we're the messenger, don't shoot the messenger, we're just here to help families that perhaps have that passion to educate at home and to give them the resources needed to accomplish that. That's it. Whether you decide to do it, I could pass out orange juice to all of you in this room and some of you be like, I hate orange juice. Well, okay, that's okay, but other people might be thirsty, I don't know.
Right.
It's an option.
It's an option. It's an opportunity.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of the Harmony contract, the soft launch? Any opposed? Okay.
Mr. Marchant, the timing of that, was that in favor? Yeah.
I was in favor.
Okay.
Right. So we will move on to
It
ten
was-
point oh
it was
two,
delayed.
student handbooks 2024-25.
So recommend the approval of high school, middle school, elementary student handbooks, high school student handbook, middle school student handbook, elementary student handbook. This does include the co-curricular, extracurricular club, lanes in terms of opportunities for students. Is there any changes, Mr. Hendrickson? The elementary principal is not here. There are no changes other than the one policy for co-curricular, extracurricular, and clubs. High school, middle school, any changes, big changes?
Yeah, so if you guys are able to view the handbooks, correct? So there's just been a formatting change as far as what the handbook actually looks like from previous years. Cleaned it up a little bit, made it a little more user friendly. So when we do put it online, oh look at that, it's gorgeous, like the weather. Just anything that was changed is highlighted in yellow. The majority of that stuff is stuff that you and I and Mr. Sargent received from our district lawyer as far as laws changing from the last legislative session. So as far as major policy stuff, not a ton of things there. Just a huge thanks to Ms. Redmond as she took on the task of revamping and reorganizing all this stuff and making it look a lot nicer than we had before. And just a better document to view and look at it and really have a good go through it. Like if you're a parent and you haven't read through it, to be able to go through and know exactly what is taking place in the school, who's doing what options are available, things that we offer. So all the yellow are the changes or the ads handed down to us by law, and minimal major changes as far as other things go.
This year, I'm just skimming through here, proficiency-based transformational learning. That's a new opportunity this year that we'll have that wasn't offered in the past. Aviation, the flight simulators in the room next door will have up to 12 students per period that we can find, if we can fill sections. Right now we have one section of flight sim, aviation, but all of the new laws, regulations, out of district, that's all, been addressed and updated in here as well.
Any board policy changes that you guys make during the school year or added, all that stuff was added. So, yeah.
Thank you. Right, we have a motion to recommend the approval of the high school, middle school, elementary student handbooks.
I'll move to recommend the approval of the high school, middle school, and elementary teacher handbook.
I'll second that.
And moved and seconded, any discussion? We need to-
What's that?
Do I need to amend that was on there? No, we got it. Okay, all those in favor? Yes.
Okay, Mary, that was also delayed, you guys.
I did.
Have to get on time here.
Okay, so we got the 10.03 middle school, high school, and elementary teacher handbook.
No changes, elementary teacher handbook. Anything you need to mention, Mr. Hendrickson, for teacher handbooks? Very few
Only
changes.
that will happen between like now and the start is if somebody else is hired that we haven't hired yet or changed positions or anything like that. Just moving stuff from year to year.
So I recommend the approval of high school, middle school, elementary teacher handbooks.
I make the motion to recommend the approval of the high school, middle school, and elementary teacher handbooks.
I second that.
Moving second, any discussion?
I see in the high school teacher handbook, the freshman class only has 3 advisors.
We're short a person and a staff member. That's why.
Still looking for high school science.
That's what that person will do.
If we can find someone.
If I recall, the freshmen were a handful.
That's
It was good to have 4 or 5.
Volunteer.
Yeah.
I mean, you got more experience than anybody in this town.
Yeah.
Missing your homecoming days?
Happen to have more time on your hands too.
Yeah.
Any other questions? That's a good one. All those in favor? Okay. Okay, 10.04 IEFA handbook.
So this is our Union Ed for All handbooks for 24-25, no changes.
Make the motion to recommend the Indian Ed for All handbook for the 24-25 school year.
Moving second, any discussion? All those in favor? 10.05 activity handbook.
Recommend the approval of the 24-25 activity handbook. This is our extracurricular handbook for high school, middle school. Very few changes.
I'll make the motion to recommend the approval of the 24-25 activity handbook.
I have a second.
Yes.
Okay, we're moving seconded, any discussion?
You said very few changes, but there is some changes. Are they highlighted or?
The only changes that were made were out throughout the year, things that were cleaned up. He did not highlight it. We're in transition of athletic directors, so this was the most current copy, but I didn't get the highlights or changes that were made throughout the year. So, and he's no longer with us, so nothing major. I can tell you nothing major in terms of changes to what was last year, other than cleaning up small things.
If I think previously an enrolled student started here in September, would they have an eligibility period to wait, or?
If they're in, if they're freshmen, no. If they're sophomores and they're coming from homeschool to school, I believe it's 90 days. If they were previously enrolled in another school or homeschool, yes. Yeah. It works the same, but let me look into that one. Because I'm not entire, let me look, I'd have to, like in terms of students that are in district that with this, like, for example, signed up for Harm, is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I guess so. It says,
if you move from homeschool to school, then yes, there is a wait. It's just like transferring schools. So you're not.
Because you would have been
bouncing in and
eligible
out.
as a homeschooler, I thought, right?
Yeah, but I think there's a 90-day transfer rule. Not,
But isn't that just by district though? Not, but if they're within the school district from a homeschooler.
no, I think it's 90 days from a
Because
homeschool to
They're in a
a,
different school.
yeah.
They're in a
But
homeschool.
it seemed like they could have came in and participated, so they wouldn't have to wait 90 if they decided to participate.
Right, but I think once you transfer, that's the gray area that I need to look into. Yes.
That's an MHSA policy. That's what,
That transfer.
the transfer rule, yeah. And since they're the ones that open it up, they would have an answer for you. other questions? All those in favor of the activity handbook? 10.06, support staff handbook.
So this is all of our classified staff. This is their handbook, no changes.
Recommend approval of support staff handbook.
I'll second that.
Okay, move and seconded. Any questions? Comments? Okay, all those in favor? 10.07, substitute teacher handbooks.
Substitute teacher handbook, no change for 24-25.
Daily pay stay the same.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know, yeah, I know. it came up. Yeah.
Make a motion to approve the substitute teacher handbook for the 24-25 school year.
Second that.
We move and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? 10.08, 2024-25 classified staff increase.
Recommend a 2.5% increase to all classified pay schedules for the 24-25 school year. Looking at what was offered over the past, St. Ignatius Schools has 3 salary schedules. Classified salary schedule was approved December 2021, and that was the first increase on the base that one had received. Grandfathered salary schedule, June 2019. There was increases made with the shrunk schedule for years. An increase was made during that year. And there was one employee on the paraprofessional that stayed on the paraprofessional traditional salary, and 4 employees, or actually the new salary, and 4 employees that stayed on the grandfather classified salary schedule. And we contribute $580 per month towards health insurance benefit for all classified, and any of the classified employees that do not take the insurance get $300 a month towards their 403B.
Can you, is it easy to describe what a grandfather did?
We had condensed the salary schedule back when we tried to increase the base. We had condensed the salary schedule, so anybody that was over or here long enough that it would affect them negatively, we offered them the original salary schedule instead of grandfather. So if you were been here for a certain amount of time, it worked in your favor to stay on the previous
It was
schedule.
a 30-year,
Yeah.
which we reappropriated that to a 15-year with a higher salary or higher hourly.
We really wanted lifers. The original version.
I make a motion to recommend a 2.5% increase to all classified pay schedules for the 24-25 school year.
I'll second
And move and seconded. Any discussion?
Yeah, there's no reason why not. Like, why would you not do it? Do you believe that the classified staff deserves
More than this.
then? So then I wouldn't hold it back. I think that's fine.
Any other discussion?
403B is a
It's annuity.
with the certified, that came and went, and I've known that has happened at other schools. Is there hard feelings, or is there feelings amongst the classified as concerning that at all?
The certified do not have that. Anybody that was employed
I
here
mean, they
before
did at one time. What
90s.
I'm saying is, it's been around and it's went away, and I know it's done that in a couple different districts.
I think when we did it last, though, you were grandfathered, right? So it was anybody hired after 1998 was not. So if you were hired before, you could continue your annuity. But if it then the school board decided not to offer that anymore, they did it based on that year. So anybody hired after the year 1998 was not allowed. Does that ring a bell?
I was grandfathered, yeah.
Yes,
And
that's
was
another
the
grandfather
thinking that
opportunity.
we're just trying to provide coverage for everyone. It's not really a cash value. It's just, let's get everybody covered.
Are you talking about the old one or the new one?
Just health insurance in general as being a benefit versus a cash value.
It was, I guess in 98, it was probably cut for funding reasons.
But
It
what-
cost-
what you're
I was
asking
wondering
is
if other employees that weren't getting that were like some hard feelings.
I don't remember.
Maybe somebody.
There's probably a reason why it's come and gone and come
Yeah,
and gone. Like,
there is.
it's obviously going to be feelings one way or another. But
Yeah, and this has
generally,
always been this way?
it was offered.
This
in
was offered in
2020, I believe.
20,
Maybe before that, 2019. It would once again be
Yeah,
some
2019.
I would say grandfather. based
So it's
on
been
dates and- yeah,
a couple
so-
years.
Nobody's here to speak up on it, I guess.
Nobody has any hard feelings.
Yeah.
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor? Just kidding.
No, you guys go, please. You guys.
Can I ask about, I'm sorry, is it too late to ask a question?
Well, was it pertaining to your decision?
Have classified staff been notified that they have jobs and contracts?
As far as I know, yes, classified were given.
All the ones that were hired back, those that weren't were notified that they weren't
Okay.
being brought back.
But they don't have contracts in there.
Contracts are waiting on this.
Contracts are waiting on this so that they have the correct amount. So, but I believe that they were all sent. I think
They were rehired last month or the month
Yeah.
before.
The list was approved, but,
Yeah.
Racina wanted to wait, yay or nay on this
Before
before
contracts.
contracts.
Yeah,
So
so
that
I
was
believe
it.
she sent out a digital correspondence that shared that they were hired back. Yeah. And then we were waiting on this. Yeah.
Okay, 10.09 bus route annual approval.
So the only change to bus routes are the special ed bus has made a change. Instead of going south, they're going north. That's the only change in routes from last year to this year, and it's the exact same mileage, which is also highly the odds of phenomenal, but exact same mileage going south as going north. So same mileage, no change, one change to one route.
When,
Full motion.
I'll make the motion to approve the bus route for the 24-25 school year.
The moving second, any discussion?
So this route is, I'm guessing Jeff meets with the districts meet together and decide, these folks have moved, we don't need to go there anymore. As long as it doesn't cause district lines.
Yeah, I mean, you can move wherever you want. We have to pick you up. So routes do change, but there are no changes to the routes for next year. Other than the one route that is changed. So I don't know what your question. what was your
No,
question?
I'm just curious how these are approved.
And then they have to go to, like yesterday, we had a meeting at the transportation. They also have to approve all the routes and mileage as well.
And so if you were a Harmony student who was enrolled and participating half-time in classes, or you'd have to provide your own transportation.
So I wanted to be here for 7.5 hours.
Yeah.
Or 7 out of 7 periods.
Right. The other thing that I notice, and it's this dynamic nature of it, but two things. One is bus service. First of all, there's some dangerous spots out there that aren't marked at all. Kids are getting picked up and dropped off. And, particularly where I live, there's that S corner on, even law enforcement doesn't make it through there all the time. And it's just a dangerous spot. And there's no indication that there might be bus activity, you know, I mean, I was just wondering if there's signage or something. I know it's difficult when bus routes change, but, boy, that's just a bad spot right there. I'm sure there are others around. And then what I'm seeing is almost door-to-door service, right? That bus stops 3 times in the length of a football field there. You know, when I was a kid, I had to walk in the snow uphill to the bus stop. And they picked up the whole, you know, community, one stop, and they moved on. I'm just wondering if that would be more economical for people. I mean, I realize in the rural spots it might be difficult, but anyway, I think just for number of stops and safety reasons, it would be nice to see some indication out, at least in town, that this is a bus stop. And, you know, slow down.
Maybe something, reach out to the county to get some bus stop signs. Yeah, any other questions? Okay, all those in favor of the bus route schedule for school year? 10.10 budget hearing date. Scheduled for
Yeah, so we usually have our annual, what do you call it, the goal setting?
Yeah.
Okay, at 6 that day. We set this meeting for 6:30. The first one usually carries over, if done properly, or if we're prepared. And I believe that we're sharing a lot more information this year, at least in this meeting. And so you guys will have some time to, digest a lot of this stuff. Then that meeting shouldn't take that long as far as what the five funds you vote for are pretty minimal. You know, the 80 pages that we went over today are non-voted, right? That's just a budget line item. Those are just operations, right? So as far as decisions go, there's only 5. So yeah, 6:30. If we're not, if we go over a little bit, we can move that one back. But if it's at least advertised at 6:30, people will be here on time. So.
I make the motion to, the school district will hold the 24-25 budget hearing on August 20th, 2024 at 6:30 in the district library.
I'll say that.
moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor for the date and time set?
It's the very last day we can do it too. So I was hoping then nobody would vote against that.
Okay, 10.11 employment for open elementary.
Recommend Rachel David for the open elementary position, BA plus 40, step 3.
I make the motion to recommend Rachel David for the open elementary position, BA plus 40, step 3.
I'll second it.
Okay, been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor of hiring Rachel David?
Okay.
10.12 vacancy RIF.
So recommend the vacancy RIF committee's decision to not transfer certified staff elementary teacher to Title I position, since we do not have a qualified applicant at this time to fill the vacancy that would be created. So,
Moving to Title I.
right. So we have no certified apps at this time. We do have potentially a certified app to fill title, but we're going to open them both up for one more week, and then by next Wednesday, either have a recommendation for title or a recommendation for TKO possibly, and honoring the move. If we can find someone, we'll give it one more week. I just don't want to get into August and not have all those positions filled with a vacancy going into August. So we're recommending that the vacancy RIF committee, I'm recommending we uphold their decision to not transfer the certified teacher to Title I position at this time, because we don't have an applicant to take that spot
But we'll keep it open
for one more week.
to to see what we can get,
Yes, and then
make that recommendation.
call it.
Okay.
Yes.
So I would make a motion to follow the vacancy risk committee decision and not transfer a certified elementary teacher to the Title I position, since we do not have a qualified applicant at this time to fill the vacancy that this will create.
I second that.
Been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor? 10.13, maintenance nighttime supervisor.
Recommend the approval of nighttime maintenance position supervisor, hiring Dan Germello for the nighttime supervisor at $4,800 for an annual stipend. So this is divided over 10 months for nighttime supervision of the nighttime maintenance employees.
I'll make a motion to recommend approving the nighttime maintenance position and hiring Dan for nighttime supervisor for the $4,800 stipend annually.
A second that.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any discussion?
So this is a new position, right?
No,
Same.
this is, we do it 2 years. I know it, I believe this is the second year. Last year, we did it last year for sure. And I believe that was the first year we did it.
Okay.
Same
How many
position, same guy.
people does he or supervise?
He looks over what, 1, 2, 3, 4.
So he's yeah. So he oversees all the 4 plus himself and nightly duties.
And his nightly duties seem to be getting bigger and bigger and bigger, right, with the shop and, I mean, I'm curious if, is he able to keep up with that increasing?
I think because it's a brand new facility, it's easier to clean. But no, and it was divided up when that was, so that did change. When we added the new space, that was redivided. But so what we're adding on to the shop right now isn't much. It's not good. It'll be fine.
So when there's an activity in one of the facilities, he's there in charge as well. He's the nighttime.
No, we actually hire people if it's on
Oh,
Saturday or after hours. They have to stay late past their 11 o'clock. They pay someone, or on Saturdays. But yeah, if everybody's like, if an event gets over at 7, the whole crew comes over and helps during that time. He coordinates and helps coordinate that as well.
Is he responsible for doing evaluations?
He doesn't evaluate them, but he checks up and reports to Steve, who does evaluate. So if there's a problem, he reports to Steve. This is an area of concern. This is we need to do a better job here. So he basically oversees and reports to the head of maintenance.
We got a motion.
Yep.
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor? 10.14, extracurricular position and job description.
Okay, so we're recommending Brent Hall for the extracurricular coordinator with the stipend and job description attached. Visited with and recommended Mr. Hall, met with him. He's agreed to a 185-day salary contract at 33 instead of 30. But there is no insurance benefit. So normally I think we advertise the insurance benefit at $8,000, just under what certified teachers get. He did not need the insurance benefit. So we agreed to propose to all of you $33,000 a year plus the 300. He got the 300 last year as a classified employee, and he would like to continue that opportunity. He's a singular contract, not tied to any other classified or certified employees in the district. It's one position that is unique in that you do not need to be certified. And it doesn't fall under hourly either. So the AD stipend, $5,561, game supervisor, and the extracurricular coordinator job description includes a lot, but I believe Mr. Hall is very organized and will do a great job.
I make the motion to recommend Brent Hall for the extracurricular coordinator with the stipend and job description attached.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
What was the pay for the previous AD?
21, 22?
Same benefits then?
No, but it was more part-time. It wasn't a full-time position. Last position, put everyone to school, so they were gone throughout the day and weren't tied to a full 8 to 3:30. So it was more of a partial day with, and this is a entirely new job description.
Is there, I think I asked this before, is there an office for this?
Yes.
Is there a place where this?
Yes, it'll be in the middle school where Mr. Picard used to be.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor of the extracurricular coordinator? Okay. 10.15 coaching. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm abstaining because I wasn't in favor of the position, if you remember.
Oh,
that.
okay.
So I'm not,
Okay.
nothing against the person, but abstain.
Sorry, my bad, Stan.
And noted.
Yeah.
You have to look up.
I know, I got it. I need to sit in front of you guys so I can see. All right, so 10.15 coaching recommendations.
Recommend Casey Helmer as the high school, middle school head cross-country coach for 24-25.
I make motion to recommend Casey Helmer as the high school, middle school head cross country coach for 24-25.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? I just had a question. What our former cross-country coach didn't want any extra help. Are we possibly looking if we get a surplus of participants as pertaining to the activity handbook?
Yeah, we can always look at that. Yeah.
Didn't know if she had made a comment about it or not, so.
Not that I'm aware of.
Rachel David,
Who you just hired.
we just hired as a
Right.
cross-country standard.
That's what I'm college. Yeah. So we'll just wait and see what happens. Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor? 10.16 new gym name.
Not to lengthen this meeting any longer than we possibly can.
Let's go.
But this is just
public.
this is just food for thought. It's not a decision you have to make tonight. But there's been a lot of we've opened it up to a lot of people in terms of information for the new gym name. It's raised a lot of discussion, anywhere from no name to a lot of input from staff, students. One thought that I had was to take the input received from everyone and dedicate the gym to legends of St. Ignatius School community. Top names from the surveys were the Kennel, the Dog Pound, the Boneyard, Doghouse 2. I can show you data. Mr. Hendrickson did a survey of students and staff, and I believe the top two there were the Kennel, and then after that, the Dog Pound, Boneyard, and Doghouse 2. The community survey that was open for staff, students, community was very close between, I believe, the dog pound and boneyard. And then behind that was doghouse and the kennel. Recommendation and information, just something to think about. Legends Gym would be a name, or Legends Kennel, Legends Dog Pound, Legends Boneyard, Legends Doghouse. And each year, the extracurricular committee can nominate 2 to 3 names that will go on the board for approval and place those names on the gym. If the board, if we go from the extracurricular committee, 2 to 3 names a year to the board for approval with rationale that the community could submit to the extracurricular committee. And each year, 2 to 3 names be placed on the Legends wall, along with the rest of the name, etc. But it's just one thought that would encompass community names on the gym wall under the name of the gym that will remain there for the life of the gym. These legends can be super fans, coaches, extraordinary athletes, staff, board members, anyone that has dedicated their lives to the betterment of being a bulldog, and dedication, loyalty, character, respect, and responsibility to being a bulldog. For example, the 2 names that come to mind for me first were Daryl Rollins and Blue Bordeaux, both super fans. These names can be given annually to the extracurricular committee with a rationale for why they should be considered for the Legends wall. The committee would look through the nominations, rationale for or against the nominee, and recommend these names to the board, who will also have the final approval of nominees that go up on the wall. We would need to get a gym name by the fall sometime so we can finish the new layout of the gym with board approval. So this is just food for thought tonight. Take the information. We'll visit it again next month. It won't be an agenda item, but more information. You guys can give me your input after you've had time to think about it and give me your input. We'll talk about it some more maybe next month. And then in September, name that gym.
Legends in your own mind.
I was just right.
All right, and that's just, that's not action item, right?
No.
Soft name.
It's a soft name.
We're at a soft name. All right, we will move on to reports.
I don't believe there are any
Not a
additional
single report.
Mission.
What? You know,
Yes,
I
have
got
in
July?
Unions, no report, we're good.
Union's good.
Hang out again.
I will tell you that if you have a chance, go to the shop it's going up.
Been driving.
It's going up. It's going up. Cabinets, we've got the cabinets going in. The cabinets in the kindergarten have been torn out. So cabinets are going up. Shops going up. Gym floors getting done next week.
Gym floor started right now.
Yeah, they're rolling with the back one. They couldn't. Yeah, we're using the gym Saturday, so.
You got reunion tours going on?
We're going to open it up during parade time. Before the parade, it'll be open. If people want to walk through, they're welcome to walk through. I got the gym open at about 9:00 on Saturday. So if anybody that wants to walk through the school, 9:00, this end will all be open. The elementary, if they want to walk through there, I'll be around. I'll unlock it for them.
Foreign exchange student from 1989 walked in today. So.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
No, I'm not kidding.
From Germany, right?
Thomas Frank.
2 of them are gonna stay with like Dan McClure.
Yeah, that's who Dan McClure was in.
Oh.
Yeah.
So did you boys have a leaky roof? Or?
We did. We've had a leaky roof for a while.
For a long time.
And finally, after we painted, we didn't paint. The office was painted. It was decided that maybe something should be done about that. Still have a leaky floor too, but nothing to do about that.
Okay. Meeting adjourned, 9:35.
Oh, 9:35. Thank you guys.
It'll be cooler in August.
Yeah.
I'm coming in here though. I'm coming in here.
They I had the prediction